Hello everyone, Hasbro Users here, and we're here to review a TV series that I've been meaning to get to for a long time. Now, I'm pretty sure you all can guess that from this channel that I am a huge fan of Blinky Bill. I mean, who isn't here in Australia? He's pretty much an icon of his country. So, and I've pretty much expressed how much I like him in my review of the movie Blinky Bill and the Mischievous Koala and the Christmas special Blinky Bill's White Christmas. But if there's one thing I've been meaning to get to, it's the TV series, but more specifically, the 90s series. Now, I didn't grow up in the 90s, but I am well familiar with this series because of reruns when I was younger. So here we go, reviewing the Yoram Gross Blinky Bill TV series. And I'll show some other stuff as well with it. So basically, Blinky Bill is an anthropomorphic koala who's a mischievous little young boy who loves pulling pranks but has a good heart. With his friends Nutsy, Splodge, Flap, Marcia, and Leia Shifty, he goes on a bunch of whirlwind adventures, all while trying to help out other animals and who are in need of him and outwitting the humans. So that's basically the premise. I'll explain a bit more around the seasons, each season's main premise, but that's basically what mostly happens in each episode. The pros in the two main pros to this series are the characters and the voice actors. The characters are all extremely likable. Blinky is easy to identify with. You enjoy him every moment, and even though he's been updated from the original story, this is sort of the Blinky Bill we're all familiar with. As much as we like other versions, it's the 90s version is the one everyone seems to think about, and I honestly prefer this version more than the original book, because in the original book he's a lot more harder. In this he's a lot more lighter, and you identify with Blinky a lot more in this. Yeah, so that's one thing to like. The other characters are also pretty good. Nutsy in particular is pretty much the second main character in this, which is why Nutsy starts off as a bit more as Blinky's best friend and I guess sort of crush, because she has a crush on him and he sort of has a crush, and it hinted in a few episodes. But by the end of season 1, she becomes Blinky's sister, and I honestly, their connection is really strong, and throughout each of the series you identify with them. They're really close and are determined to help the other out. Platypus, an original character to the series, he might have been a side character in the book, I'm not sure. He is Blinky's best friend, and he's basically an Australian Daffy Duck, and you identify with him you like him. You've got Splodge Kangaroo, who was originally Blinky's best friend in the book, but he's a bit more very exaggerated, I will admit, with his voice. But you like him. He's got his own love of everything. Marcia is a tomboy and young girl, and while her voice can be annoying at times, you grow to like her. Shifty goes through quite a bit of an arc in the first series, which I'll get to in a bit. But as he becomes more Blinky's friend and gang member, and he's in the second season, you see how well he gets along with everyone, especially when he finds common ground with Nutsy and Flap. The other characters are all like from Blinky's old wise mentor Miss Magpie, wise old mentor Wombo, his annoying teacher Miss Magpie, though determined to teach him even though Blinky gets on her nerves. His mother, Nutsy's father. You've got Mrs. Spotty the Frog, and of course the Stuffy Mayor Pelican. You'll enjoy all these characters and you really love them. But but to help that, you've got the voice acting from Robin Moore and Keith Scott. They're basically both of these actors are pretty much Mel Blanc category here in Australia. They're both really good, and their voices are what you think of these characters. I still consider Robin Moore the true Blinky Bill. In fact, she still does her Blinky Bill voice for for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Keith Scott's pretty much the only voice actor I think most people outside of Australia would know because of his work on stuff like George of the Jungle and Rocky and Bullwinkle. But he is really good here too. You've got, as I said, I consider them both around Mel Blanc category. More voice actors came in the show's third season, which as I said, I'll get into as I explain the series a bit more. But these two stay with the series all the way through, and you'll love them. The premises for each episode are also really good. I think the premises got better in the second and third season, but the first season has some good stories here and there. They even did a few episodes where they actually told classic stories in the vein with the characters involved. You've got the music by Guy Gross, Yoram's son, is really good, and I think that my favourite moment, I love hearing the quintessential theme songs and everything, and the things that we all know and love. We've got, I think some of my favourites are actually some of the stuff he did for season 3, even though other composers were involved. And then of course there's a scene where Nutsy is walking around a field of collecting flowers in one episode of season 2, which really is a good scene. The animation in particular is really good, especially the first 2 seasons. They go for a bit more. They go for a bit more watercolored animation, which really fits. It feels realistic. It's really good, and the third season's got some good animation, but again, get into that soon. But what helped, and even the other 2 things I'm going to give major credit is the charm of this show is very charming. It's very warming. You love every moment of it, and as I said, you grow attached to it, and basically when you walk into it, you know you're going to get a good time. And even though it's from the 90s, it doesn't feel outdated. In fact, to be honest, this is a show that you can look and say it's not really outdated. It feels natural. I can only think of, and big credit for me, there's not really any toilet humor or gross out humor. Okay, there were 2 instances I can remember, both from season 3, but most of the time there's no poop jokes and all that sort of stuff. But if there are problems, well, the villains / rivals are very weak, with a few exceptions. But most of the villains you see in only one episode, they're not really that worth noting. And I'll get to the third, my second problem later. But let's get on to shall I say, each season. Hang on. So the first season is basically an after story from the movie, because in the movie the animal's home in Green Patch gets destroyed from the loggers. So it's about them rebuilding Blinky helping out, about the whole town of Green Patch rebuilding, and Blinky assisting, but getting in the way at times, trying to have some fun. And yeah, that's basically what happens. They're trying to rebuild the town. But also coming into the town, you are the Dingo family, consisting of Shifty, his brothers Danny and Meatball, his sister Daisy, and his mother Ma Dingo. The town has troubles accepting them at first because of their past experiences with dingoes, which never was seen in the movie, but they explain a bit here. And it's proven a bit more when Danny comes up with a bunch of schemes to get his family a bit more ahead in life. But overall, as the show goes into it, Blinky and his friends warm up to Shifty, who in turn warms up to the town, and the town warms up to the Dingo family. There's also the other fact that because Nutsy is now, after the events of the movie, Nutsy's left an orphan. she's lost her mother, and her mother died when she was young, much like Blinky's dad in the show. We see that a couple of times in flashbacks. But Nutsy is trying to also one day try and find her dad. And they find her dad at the end of season 1, and her dad and Blinky's mom get married, resulting in leads to a combined family. Shows that actually more blended family. Jeez, I forget what that was called. Yeah, so, and basically the final episode of the season involves the wedding of Blinky's mum and Nutsy's father, and the Dingo family finally being welcomed into Green Patch. It's a good way to end off the series. After that first series, I think it pretty much solidified Blinky's rep. Blinky Bill became one of the ABC for Kids' main hotline programs. I mean, it was by that point we basically had a lot of stuff come in. I've got some of merchandise stuff that I had from when I was a kid still. Blinky became pretty much part of the main quadrant, as you can see. Well, he was pretty much one of the mainline programs and mainline ABC for Kids draw cards. As you can see right here, he was featured. He's got a book here in this compilation of ABC for Kids stories, and in fun books too. It was and he was even featured in the intros for ABC for Kids. So he was pretty much all everywhere. Season 2 then came around, and this is what I think one of my favorite, maybe my favorite series of season. In this one, Blinky, with the town rebuilt and the Dingo family now firmly living in Green Patch, seems like everything's starting, and Blinky now having a father in his life, things seem to be going well for everything, outside of a few instances where Danny causes a bit of mischief. But then one day, Miss Magpie organises a school excursion with Blink and takes all the kids of Green Patch on a camping trip. When coming home, unfortunately, Blinky ends up getting himself, Nutsy, Flap, Splodge, Marcia, and Shifty lost from the main group, and they must try and find their way back home while avoiding meeting a whole bunch of wacky characters here and there and avoiding danger, and exploring the whole of Australia, I guess, pretty much. In this one, you see, this is where the show gets a bit more experimental, where we get to see different sort of places within Australia. I mean, we see the beach, we see the deserts, we see towns, we see lighthouses, the city, and of course you even see snow, which is also pretty nice. I mean, people don't associate snow with Australia, so it's nice we see stuff like that every now and then in shows like that. So yeah, it all works out. You see a lot more of Australia than you're used to. I guess you can call it a TV precursor to what Forza Horizon 3 did for video games within the video game world for Australia. And it's also here where you see a bit more Blinky, how much Blinky values his friends, especially in one episode where they all have a fight, and after hanging around a group of animals who don't get along, and they realize how important it is that their friendship lasts. You also see a bit more of you also get to see a bit more of Marcia's side, where she is a bit more vulnerable. And also these are the best. Couple of episodes of season 2 feature the best moments of Blinky helping out Nutsy, especially one episode where Blinky cheers her up for her birthday. And the characters that they meet along the way in season 2 are also pretty good. There's a family of polar bears from Russia that they meet. They reunite with a couple of people they met in season 1, including a bunch of guys named Cedric. And one of my personal favorites is they meet a possum who sounds a lot like Eddie Murphy, who of course will be played by Keith Scott, but the impersonation he does of Eddie Murphy is really good. the thing, Yoram would reuse this design of the possum Slick for another character in a Skippy TV series he was working on. It's a bit of recycling there, but yeah, he overall did well. And the season ends off with the gang finally getting back home to Green Patch, and it's a nice way to end off the series season. Season 2 is pretty much what I would consider the best of the season of the show. So basically we had season 1 in 93, 94, season 5 between 95 and 97. And at this point, you pretty much associate Blinky was pretty much the Blinky Bill series had hit I would say almost the peak on the ABC. We have, of course, had more books, such as right here. You had, of course, a bunch of videotapes. There was even a special. He appeared on ABC for Kids VHS tapes, the Bumper Collection and all that, and song collections. But he also had his own stuff with episodes like here. There was even a special VHS tape where they featured songs from not only written for some of the episodes, but also original songs as well as songs from the movie, like here and Sing a Song with Blinky Bill. So I guess, and later on he would get a couple of DVDs right here. So yeah, it seemed like at that point he was pretty much associated with the ABC, but eventually things changed, and after a bit of a Channel 7 in Australia, the 7 Network, later hired Yoram to write a Blinky Bill, create a new Blinky series, a third season, if you will. Yeah, it was a third season, and the third season was very different. The animation quality, at least. I mean, well, the first movie was more first two series were all watercolored and all that. Season 3 was more cartoony. It didn't feel realistic, I should say. You can definitely tell it. It's a very strange change. I don't know why they changed it, but yeah, let it be. And it was also a bit of even the premise was a little bit different, but yeah, it's okay. I like when there's new premise and everything. For the third season, Blinky, Nutsy and Flap helped free a bunch of circus animals from a mean old circus and attempt to get them back home while avoiding the circus brothers themselves, who are trying to reclaim the animals as well as get Blinky involved after they see him do a trapeze act. Splodge, Marcy and Shifty aren't involved in the series. Well, okay, they're in it, but they don't appear that often. But overall, they're still technically involved in the show, just with a few episodes. Well, centering on them missing the gang, the others, and stuck in Green Patch, as well as trying to hold a party for Blinky, even though he's not there for his birthday. So I guess you can. So yeah, it does seem like season 3 is very different, very strange, and not really that good. But it still had some good moments here and there. Oh jeez. Of course, Blinky, Nutsy, and Flap are still in. They're still the same old characters we like. And we also have a couple of and of course the new characters from the circus that they're trying to get home are also pretty good for themselves. My favourite, we have Slippery, a clumsy seal from Antarctica, Leo, an African lion who's very much a scaredy cat, Ling Ling the panda, who's trying to be a good Chinese magician and all that, in the vein of her master. You have Tika the toucan from the Amazon, who's trying to originally try and sabotage Blinky and get him back for the circus brothers, or get all the animals back to the circus brothers, but over time he does switch sides and become loyal to Blinky. You have Yo-Yo the monkey from India, who's pretty much hyperactive and loves pulling pranks, even more so than Blinky does in this season. And of course you have Penelope the poodle from France, who is very much a beauty queen. I will say this, it's definitely, they brought in new voice actors for some of the new characters. I mean, but the new voice actors do decent enough, but nothing compared to Robin and Keith. And then you move on to, and even the Cirque, yeah, so they're okay. But overall, I like the new characters they brought in. Okay, Slippery is only in it for 3 episodes, but so you don't get much of him. But I think my favourites are Ling Ling, Yo-Yo, and Penelope. So yeah, I love those characters. Then of course there's the Circus Bros. Now, well, I did say most of the villains slash rivals aren't that good in this show, in the series, in the whole season, or the whole show. The Circus Brothers are 2 exceptions. Well, okay, Danny Dingle is also great, but he's more of a rival, but he does get a lot of development. But of course, but as I was saying, the Circus Brothers, they are pretty much the best of the villains, or mainline villains. Basil's the head honcho and comes up with the plans, while Cyril's a bit more of a buffoon and everything. As I pointed out in the winter Christmas, the Christmas special, they reused the character designs and the personalities for the villains in the Christmas special of the Sex Brothers. And yeah, that was lazy. So nothing can top these guys, because at least they go for, you spend a lot of time and you understand a bit more of them. Especially with Cyril, in terms of Cyril, because he also gets a lot of development. You also see a bit more of Blinky start to mellow out in his sort of distaste for humans. I mean, to be honest, Blinky's hatred of humans is a bit more amped up here, but you do see him start to change his opinions over the series. And yeah, it helps out a lot. It's a good, to be overall, Blinky and Nutsy and Flap also get their modes as well. You understand their preference, and they start to change their opinions overall as the season ends. And by the end of the season, they finally get all the animals home, and they get home to Green Patch, and finally get the circus brothers off their tracks, especially after Cyril calls it time on his career in the circus, as well as getting Basil finally given up. And yeah, it ends off pretty well. Of course, there would be a Christmas special afterwards, but overall, it all went out fine. To end off the series like that, it ended up fine. But of course, now the series would get back onto the ABC. I would say 2 years after season 6 ended, season 3 that is ended, and it would remain on ABC for Kids, even though I stopped watching at that point. For I would say just about to the CGI reboot came along. It's well enough that they managed it, and it was good because I think that the ABC it's Blinky Bill's home pretty much, kind of associated with 7. And yeah, so it ended off pretty well. Overall, though, I think I can pretty much say that this show is still pretty much what Blinky Bill is, and it holds a lot of nostalgia for many people in Australia. For me, I do too. I do have my problems. Like, I will agree that season 3 is a bit of a downgrade in animation. I don't like most of the villains, but mostly Blinky, you still get great voice acting, great characters, and a lot of charm in this. And I think that's more than enough to give it a chance. I'm not sure what you would prefer more in terms of this version of Blinky, the movie or the TV show. I'm counting the special within the TV series, to be honest. Well, okay, everything, the movie, the show, and the special are all part of the same continuity. But I think if you liked one, you'll like the other. I overall consider this a great TV series, and definitely one of my favorite kid shows. Honestly, in fact, I still have high opinions of this even now. One thing I love most of all about this is how each episode ends. Actually, I forgot to mention, as each episode ends with them saying, if I were Blinky or one of his friends saying "extraordinary." And I feel like that's a good way to end off this review. But pretty much I will say this show gets a 10 out of 10 half stars from me, easy. And, well, I can't think of any way better off than to end off with someone saying extraordinary here. So why don't I finish off with the last extraordinary from the show for the final episode of Season 3. Well, in the meantime, House Mouse is out, and I'll catch you later for my next review. Ciao.
It's incredible! The whole adventure has been incredible! Actually, Blinky, it's been more than incredible. It's been extraordinary!